Right, so let's talk about some cartoons, some animated stuff for a good while actually, right? So
Animation.
Ricardo, you kick things off with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
know the first season wrapped up last week, but or I should say yesterday, if I think so, right? Yesterday it wrapped up, right? I could be
I
wrong.
don't know about yesterday. I saw the finale the other day.
Okay,
But
could
last
be
night, yeah,
Friday or Saturday,
yeah,
if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, so Ricardo, take it away, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Well, I should say, right? I'm not sure which. Well, I think I'm not sure where exactly I saw it, but I did see no, not a trailer. I saw a scene, just a specific scene, just highlighting what this is about, and the art style I particularly dug. It just sort of reminded me of like 2000s Cartoon Network kind of stuff, right? Like what you'd see during that era, right?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of remind me of in a sense. But other than that, I am not familiar at all with Moongale or Devil Dinosaur. I am. I probably maybe I'm an idiot, but I just sort of wondering if this was like just recently invented, if this is like an actual comic book character that has
Yeah.
existed for
hmm
years or not. I don't know, but yeah, take it away. What is this show about?
Yeah, it's out for a little while as a comic. I remember seeing it around for a while, but they finally put it out. I really is hype over it, and yeah, it's pretty good. I didn't super love it, but it was basically think of it as like in terms of the animation style, it's effectively 2D Spider-Verse. It feels a lot like that. Everything feels kind of spray painted and whatnot. Lulena Lafayette is the main character. Moon Girl, played by Diamond White. She's pretty good. She becomes a superhero because of some portal trans-dimensional shenanigans involving her and then well someone else um you know who's connected to her and what's going on there. Parents is like kind of DJs, but they're doing a lot of odd jobs and they own a rink, and it's a whole skating thing, and it's basically very city-based stuff. Her best friend is oh God, I forget the actress name, but the Lily, I think, is she just a Jewish girl who they doing kind of thing, kind of Puerto Rican as well. They mix with that because they effectively had not bris. I was going I was going to say oh gosh, what is it called bat mitzvah. In the storyline, that was pretty good. And yeah, they make a whole thing about basically just the mystery behind what happened to her grandmother. That's basically what it is, right? They have a bunch of great voice acting and whatnot, but basically a character who is her grandmother, they bring a whole thing with that. And then Lawrence Fishburne plays the Beyonder, who is pretty damn good and pretty funny. And they have him also play his character from the MCU, right? Because the thing is that all of this shares the continuity with the MCU,
Oh
apparently,
wow, okay.
which is because there's something in it. I was like, wait, Lawrence Fishburne playing Bill Foster, right? He played the same character. Like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's
So,
interesting.
right. And I was like, all right, that's pretty interesting. And so I was wondering if it's in continuity. But then in the second to last episode, the third to last episode, we get to see a kind of confirmation that it is a MCU thing. So I don't want to spoil who that is. Somebody shows up, kind of awesome. Uh, but yeah, basically the big mystery is involving the grandmother and the dimensional stuff and who's the bad guy. And that's it. It's like a much nicer version of what went on with Velma and She Mother. Like it's that. Remember that nonsense? Yeah. They
Oh
could
yeah,
do a
yeah, I
pretty
remember
yeah.
that shit.
It's kind of like that. It's just a mystery that you have to solve and make it work and what it is. And I didn't super love this, but it was pretty good. Like I can understand why if you really love this, it's yeah, but a little too old for it to be fair. But I dug the hell out of it, and it really really worked. Mostly uh I felt it was a little slow for me to be honest. Like I felt it's 16 episodes, but I felt this could have been done in 8 episodes or around 10 episodes or something like that. But it works for what it is in terms of its conceit, and yeah, it's Disney. And look, I'm just happy that Disney just putting out new programs for it is because Owl House ended and a bunch of good shows get cancelled. So like yeah, whatever. Um, it's solid rating. I'll give it like a probably like a yeah, 8 out of 10, but probably more in the seven camp to be honest. But it mostly because I'll say it doesn't pace particularly well in my humble opinion. That's the only thing that holds it back. But everything else is really good. I just felt if it was a little tighter, I'd have loved it a little more. But it is really good for what it is. Yeah, that's just a quick rundown. Nothing too much about it in that sense because I really thought it would have more to talk about or really be clever or interesting. And it is good, and it is funny, and it does have it a lot of its beats land. But I felt the pacing of the main story could have come through a little better. But it is more about the character work, and if you care about that, and her and the dinosaur is the relationship that don't really stick with me, to be honest. Like it's good, but it's just a bunch of gags and jokes for what it is. They really do anything with it. It ends off in a cliffhanger, which is kind of fun for what it is. I'm kind of excited for season two, but I'm probably gonna forget about this, to be honest. Yeah, whatever. Again, as a big hardback man, it's not for me, so whatever. That's how I feel about it. Yeah,
All right. Well, up next, we will talk about the first two episodes of Unicorn Warriors Eternal, which,
sure.
admittedly, I didn't even know about till somebody online or some
I
online
saw a
periodical
trailer
post
trending on
article
Twitter.
about.
Same.
Yeah, I saw it trending on Twitter for 2 seconds. I'm like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll go and
Okay,
give it
okay.
a chance when it's up. Yeah,
Yeah, but once I knew about it, well, for me, the reason why I wanted to see it is, its creator, that would be
Tata.
yeah,
Tartakovsky, right? Yeah,
yeah,
who
One day
dropped
I
one
will
of my
actually
favorite
get it on.
shows of last year. That would be the second season of, and possibly last season of Primal. Yeah,
right, right, right.
because I know, he said he's not sure if he'll jump back into the world of Primal. Yeah, he actually had a couple projects in the works, so one of which is the show here, but he had
Right,
another one that was actually more mature. Um, if you don't mind, I'll just do the synopsis of this, right? But
sure.
yeah, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
actually thinking, because it's coming out, because it's out on Adult Swim, that it is, like a TV Emmy kind of thing, or TV PG, whatever, right? And this, for me personally, felt more like Y7 than anything else, right?
Yeah, yeah. It is a
Yeah.
lot younger than it's skewed a lot younger than I was expecting.
Yeah, it does, right?
Right.
So what it's about in a nutshell, right? Cause we only got the first two episodes, right? What we it's pretty much like this threat of this evil force, right? So it's just something that is, going to destroy the world. So we have these magical powers. I always say superpower, but there's these magical powered individuals who are more or less assigned, to protect the world from that, right? But what we learn now in these first two episodes, right, is that these individuals, these beings, pretty much inhabit the bodies of certain people in different time periods, right? Um, so in this case here, we follow the character of Emma, right, who is voiced by Hazel Dope, right? Dope or Dope, if I got the surname wrong, forgive me, right? And she's introduced in sort of a steampunkish version
Right.
of London. So it's in the 1890s. I think it's
Yeah,
in
it's
1890
very.
Mm-hmm.
itself.
That's what I say. It's very British, but I didn't
Yeah.
think it would stick to those accents because everything is
Yeah.
like a bunch of British accents. But I'm not sure how much of them accurate or not. I don't know. That's kind of bothering me.
Yeah,
That's what
I'm
about
not too sure either, right?
it.
So, this particular sorceress, right? This is one of the beings by the name of Melinda. Well, Emma becomes Melinda. I'm not gonna say how well the process of how it happens, but it does involve this particular robot, this steam powered robot by the name of Copernicus, right? And what we learn in the first episode alone is that he has, or it has, this ability of just transferring these souls onto the spirits, if you will, onto these individuals, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
the characters that we see before, we actually see two more characters, because really the three characters that they focus on here now, or should say four, I should say, are Melinda, Seng, and Edred, right? So Edred is the warrior elf, Seng is this monk, who is able to traverse through time and space. That's a pretty cool power.
Hmm.
Um, and again, Melinda, who is a sorceress, she's pretty much the Raven of this group. So she has
Right.
these dark mystical powers, and
Yeah. I
she just
saw.
kind of releases them in these like bursts. So she's like, yeah, and all this outbursts and stuff like that, right? Um, and we're also introduced the character of Merlin, who I assume is the actual Merlin from, Arthurian legend and whatnot. And he
Right.
seems to be the one who brings these characters together, right? But yeah, in this case, with these first two episodes, it kind of centers on the origin story, if you will, of the new Melinda. So, we see Emma and her life in London. She's about to get married. And then, this robot, again, the steam powered robot shows up and pretty much turns her into this character, right? But what's pretty interesting here is how the other two characters come into play, right? So that would be Seng, who is the monk. So it's this urchin, this boy who lives in this abandoned home for boys. Yeah, for abandoned boys, sorry. Yeah, he becomes it, right? But they do something pretty cool where, Seng being this mystical monk and all that kind of stuff, Now this power is being transferred into this kid. So the kid doesn't know how to control that power. And they really do something well where you're seeing how, like, when he is in his element, right? Where he's just seeing certain creatures and things fly about, he gets distracted easily by seeing these things, but he's not really able to concentrate or manifest his powers well enough, right? Because he's too young fit, and I like that they emphasize on that, right? Edred, of course, is the warrior elf, but the character who they picked to play him in this world here is pretty interesting as well too. I didn't see that one coming, right? So just to jump into the review here, I'll just share some quick thoughts on it, right? Um, Pretty promising for what I've seen here so far. I will admit though, it does take a while for the story to pick up because like you're being thrown into this world for the first time, right? And you're trying to make sense of things, and so you have to kind of figure out what's going on, right? It was pretty interesting, and I felt it was a little letdown for me personally, where there are two other characters, and we kind of see how they become who they are, but that's like years before, I should say centuries before, the events of London in the 1890s, right? So
Right.
I'm now wondering if those two characters are gonna be played by other characters in London going forward. I don't know, right? That was pretty weird for me, right? And yeah, just the setup of it was pretty weird for me too. I would just say it just took a while for me to just get used to what was going on. It was just like, all right, I'm seeing character A doing stuff. They tell him about a threat, and I'm just trying to piece together everything that's going on. But I feel like when it locks in on the whole London stuff, that's when the stories start to flow and start to make sense, right? I do like the idea of these souls being transfused into new bodies, and I'm getting the sense that this will happen in every I don't know century or decade or whatever it is, and as long as they fight the threat, but we still don't know what the threat is. And for me, I wish that we knew a little bit more of the threat. I wish we knew a little bit more of the robot and why he's able to do those powers. There's another robot that steps in, and we're not too sure how that happens, or why there's a villain. Well, at least it's labeled as a mysterious woman. So we don't really know what her MO is at the moment, but she's up to something kind of nefarious. Um, and yeah, essentially, it's just these two episodes is just establishing the world of the Warriors Eternal, if you will, right? The animation style, I should mention this though, is pretty interesting as well, right? 'Cause
Well,
it's going more for sort of like a old school sort of Popeye-esque kind of vibe, like
the art and animation style is so different and strange. That is what catch me mostly off guard from this.
yeah, yeah. I'm reading up here now on Wikipedia, so it's inspired by both Max
Max
Fleischer,
Fleischer,
sorry,
Fleischer.
okay.
and
Fleischer, yeah.
yeah, Fleischer, sorry, and Osamu Tezuka. I could tell
Right.
too, especially with the eyes and
Yeah.
the face,
That's
because I was
brilliant.
Yeah,
watching
it's early like Giganto or
Astro
Astro
Boy.
Boy. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I was watching
Uh,
Melinda face, and I was like, yeah,
hmm.
this have a kind of an Astro Boyish kind of
Yeah.
look to her, especially the eyes. I
Oh,
was I
that's
was
not
really
bad.
drawn to her eyes in particular, right? And then in the second episode where they introduce the boys, and there's actually a really like entertaining scene involving what was supposed to be Emma's fiance, yeah, playing football, right? Well, playing soccer, right? But in this case, it's football, right? Because whatever, right? Yeah, and just the way how the characters look with the oversized forearms and the eyes and whatnot. Yeah, you could tell that Jenny is really drawing from old school animation styles or whatnot, right? But yeah, the style is pretty interesting. I think this is the first time I've ever seen him do steampunk, so that was really interesting.
You're right.
I didn't think that it was gonna be like entirely steampunk, but like once they lock into London, it's like okay, we actually like sticking with the style though. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
I was expecting like more period piece moments throughout the series, but I don't know what to expect here, right? I don't think that they're gonna just stay in London, but I guess we'll see with the other episodes, right? Um, the voice work is fine. It didn't blow me away. It's fine for what it is though. And yeah, the animation style is pretty solid though. What Jendi does very well though is world building. I like how he just establishes his world. There's a great moment involving like these beasts, right? So you see like a giraffe being shipped into like this dock, you know what I mean? I really like that. Just establishing that yeah, this is like we're trying to let the citizens of London know that yes, there's a world outside here, and we're really gonna modernize this world here. So you're gonna see things that you've never seen before. There's a lot of amazement and wonder of oh wow, there's all these things going on, all this technology and all this magic and all that kind of stuff. I really like how they set that up, right? But again, I just felt like just structurally, it's a little, clunky. I just felt like, in terms of just establishing who these characters are, it does take a while for it to do that, right? But
Yeah.
hopefully the other episodes will, flesh those characters out very well, right? Um, but yeah, this looks like a promising series, and again, it's just glad to see that Jendi is back and doing his thing. It's clearly a project that is near and dear to him. I could tell just off the art style alone. But it's not one personally I'm going to be looking out for every single week, right?
Right.
Most likely I'm just going to wait till the season wraps up, and then I'll just binge it through, right? And last but not least, I'm glad that he got Tyler Bates and Joanne Higginbottom to come through to do the score, because they worked on the score for Primal, right? The last couple seasons, right? But yeah, this looks really, really interesting though. It didn't blow my way, to be honest, though, but it's really shaping itself to be a pretty interesting fantasy animated series, man. And it's from a legendary animation filmmaker, like from Jendi, right? So I'm really curious to see what he does with this story of his, right? So I'm gonna stop there. So yeah, Ricardo, your quick thoughts on the first episodes here.
Yeah, I with you. I can't say I loved it, but it's there. It's doing a lot of interesting stuff. I think what is that I'm not a big fan of the steampunk setting, so that not really it wasn't really roping me in. In that sense, I really felt he could have. I don't know, like it's his story, but I really wanted a different setting. The steampunk, for me personally, the steampunk setting kind of played out. So that is the main hindering, but everything else is like, all right, story alright, the concept's not that half bad. But this coming from somebody who just want more Symbionic Titan. So that is why I not like, oh, we getting a new series and it's not really like not going as hard as Primal was. Like, admit it, Primal went hard. So
Oh yes,
just
it did.
yeah. So it didn't. I can't say it roping me in as much as it did. I'm not super hyped over it, but it's fine. It's pretty solid for what it is and what it's doing. And I really want to see if it have a good twist or anything mind blowing for it. I'm not sure. We'll find out. So it's just that. That's how I feel about it. And it's fine. I look, it's first two episodes, so we see it might have something coming to, but it didn't blow me away. Just good. It's like, okay, it's alright. It's decent.
Yeah. Tracy, yeah, your thoughts on these first two episodes here.
There's two thoughts that crossed my brain. One was the idea of Doom Patrol for kids.
Okay,
it looks very
right.
interesting.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
That kind of is where it fit. The other thing for me was, and again, I need to go back and like fully digest it, but it felt more akin to Samurai Jack. And I know it is Jendi and that kind of stuff, Jendi and that kind of stuff is handling. But looking at the way how it plays out, the idea of this mythical quest and over the centuries, it really did give me that whole Samurai Jack, especially like the last season of Samurai Jack where, he had to go and deal with the daughters of Aku. That kind of vibe. So
well, the character design felt similar. That black.
Yeah. There is that. I like when Jendi is able to sort of play between different worlds. You take Samurai Jack, which was very teen but also adult. Then you had Primal, that was way very adult. Like this is for us. This is adult. Yeah. And then now you have something in the middle. Yes, it has that kind of kid vibe, but it's something that you could still float around and enjoy. So I'm very much looking forward to.
It does like tonally and just so demographically feel like a hybrid of all of this stuff, because there's a lot of symbiotic Titan in this, like the way how the characters talk.
Yeah,
that kind of
like right now on Twitter, the whole joke is, this is all well and good, but what we need is for him to be in like, do more Star Wars things, please. That is heights, but God. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. But I like what I'm seeing thus far, and I'm going to go back and do a deep dive of those two episodes.
All right. And speaking of Star Wars, and yes, that's why I mentioned this one here first, because if you remember, Tartakovsky, sorry, made
goated series.
Yes. Star Wars: The Clone Wars still one of the best Star Wars series ever made, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the second season of Star Wars Visions, right? And what we'll do, sort of similar to the last time we talked about the first volume, covered this episode just was about in a nutshell and just quick thoughts on it, right? So, volume 1, I enjoyed it for the most part. Similar, when it comes to like anthology shows, as I always say, there's gonna be the bangers, the ones that always stand out to you. You'll always go back to. There'll be yeah, that was alright ones, and then there will be the others that just like, Um, Fortunately, with this season here compared to the last one, there's more more bangers and more highlights in this one.
Yeah.
Couple of ones that I was like, alright, that was alright, that was alright, but none really that was like, alright, I don't need to see that one again, right? So like case in point, I'll never forget the last episode of Volume 1. That was Akakiri. That one I genuinely was let down by. And there was just so much promise with that one, and I just kind of came out of it like, wow, that was kind of bad though, But it started off great though. It's still one of my favorite entries in the series here, the duel, right? I thought that was
Yeah.
great. Especially me being a Kira Kurosawa fan, so that just spoke to the Seven Samurai Yojimbo fan in me, and just the
Yeah.
mere fact that they did it in this pseudo black and white style, I was just like, yes, I love everything about that. That was fantastic. Still one of the best entry films in this show period, right?
Right.
So just one thing that I just admire as a whole with this show here, right? Is not just the fact that we're zeroing in on certain studios, right? But I like how specific to certain countries they are in this case, right? To the point that even the voice acting is, specific to the country of
Mm-hmm.
which the studio is from, right? So like how in the last season, you got some actors, some Hollywood actors or whatnot showing up to do some voice acting here. Here, you don't really hear that much, recognizable voice actors in this, right? So, like, ever so often you'll hear one or two people that you'll know just by voice alone. So, case in point, I heard my boy David Diggs. I was like, hey, I know your voice anywhere. So, hey, you in this too, cool, right? Stephen Bloom. I was like, hey, I know you.
Right.
I OG, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, a majority of these voice actors are from the country which the studio is based from, right? I thought that was really great, right? Also, I really particularly admire in this season here how, because the studios are from different countries, it sort of treats these stories as, best way I can describe it is like, all right, like let's just treat, like it's Star Wars, right? So there's millions of planets, right? So let's just take each planet that, the story is based on, and let's treat it like a country. It's like, okay, this country
Mm-hmm.
is England or Ireland. So, right, we're going to hear Irish music. We're gonna hear Irish voices and all that kind of stuff. We're going to see a style that's very akin to, Irish folklore or characteristics and all that kind of stuff. And that totally works. So it gives each film, each entry in this volume, more, characteristics, right? And more of a personality, so to speak, right? I really appreciate that compared to the last season where it's like, all right, it's more about, the particular art style. So we're gonna get the anime here, we're gonna get, the claymation there, or whatever it is. But here it's like it's very specific to the country that it's from. I really, really admire that, right? And just for those two reasons alone, I really think that this season is a considerable step up from what we got in the last season, right? But just to run through the episodes quickly, right? And of course, you guys could come in and share your thoughts on each episode
Mm-hmm.
as I mention them, right? So, the first one is Sit. This one is actually one of my favorites here. It centers on a former Sit apprentice who pretty much is living in this spaceship with this droid, and I
Gotta love a
love.
droid.
Yeah, yeah, and I love how she, in this case, it's more or less her trying to stay away from the dark side and more embracing the good side of the force, right?
Right.
So she expresses this through artwork, right? So she just does all these like paintings and stuff like that. It's futuristic shit, right? So is how she does it, right? Um, but she's kind of conflicted because she feels like there's something missing in the paintings, right? And it's only through her encounter with her past mentor that she understands that, yeah, she kind of needs darkness. She kind of needs to have that balance, right? And just how they expressed that visually, though, was fantastic, in my opinion, though.
Yeah.
I love the sort of, it's that sort of painting that I can't, I don't know the actual term of it, right? But it does feel like, splash painting pretty
Yeah.
much being visualized, right? There's a great kind of a blink in the missing moment, right? Where literally she's like the first 2-3 minutes she's in her ship, right? And the moment she goes into, let's just say, her art gallery, right? Where she does her paintings, right? Remember, it's futuristic shit, right? Yeah, it goes from 69 to 4-3 though. I was like,
Right.
alright, okay, that was hard though. Like real blink in the missing, like, okay, that was cool, right? And yeah, And just visually, it just totally worked for me. The final shot was fantastic, though. I really loved that, though, in terms of just expressing that whole light and dark aspect, though. The fight scene was amazing, though. I won't lie, though. Just visually, just how it looked was great. I dug the voice acting, I should mention, too. I actually saw it, this episode in Japanese, right? And while I was watching the lips, I was like, wait, no, but they're talking English too. So I watched it over and the English work. But what was interesting, again, going back to where it's from, right? Yeah, they actually get, voice actors from that particular country to do it, right?
To be able to do
Let me
yeah.
just find the art studio who work on that quickly,
El
right? Just
Giro.
El
No,
Gri
El Guri.
El Guri. Okay. That's what it is,
El
right?
Guiri. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
So I'm
drawing back. I
assuming
wasn't able to.
it's Spanish, or yeah, it's from some a Spanish studio,
Yeah.
if you will, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But yeah, even the voice acting work there. I actually have to applaud this episode and the other ones for this being brave and saying, yeah, we're gonna get our own
El
voice
Guri.
actors to do this. We're gonna
Mhm.
be as authentic as we possibly can, man. And yeah, I mean, not much more I could say. I really dug this episode here. This
Look,
particular short, but really it's just the artwork that really blew me away, though. That sort of splash, watercolor kind of vibe to the
Yeah.
visuals and all that kind of stuff, right? But yeah, Ricardo, your quick thoughts on Sit.
Yeah, this was pretty good. Again, they just had you just wowing you with the visuals and just pulling the thing. And then the core story of it is pretty good, of her having to accept destiny and freedom, and it's a nice little simple theme as well, which is her, not being enslaved by this, but doing like that. And she say, yeah, the master is this, I'm the master now. The ending is good. It's good. It's simple.
for me, this was like a reverse Ahsoka. The idea of
Right.
Ahsoka letting everybody know I am no Jedi. And then Lola comes in and explains I am no Sith, and she's forging her own. That is the kind of vibe that I got out of it. And again, gotta love a droid. Got to love a droid that sacrifices itself, and that kind of vibe. So for me, Sith was one of those top tier episodes in Visions.
Yeah. And you're right, though. The studio is from Spain, right? So that's great, right?
El
Up next we
Guri.
have Screecher's Reach, which is from Cartoon Saloon, which is from Ireland.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the moment I noticed, like I was picking up on the Irish accents, like, all right, this is Irish, right? Cool, right? Um, this one works in terms of setting up a ghost story, in a sense, in terms of the world of Star
Right.
Wars. So in this
Hmm.
case, we have this girl named Dal who pretty much works with her friends at the sweatshop, and she just desires something
A
greater in
better
life. She
life.
knows there's something
Hmm.
greater for her, right? So she's hearing about this cave that's supposed to have a ghost there, so she kind of wants to see it, and she doesn't really tell her friends why, but she just kind of knows she needs to see it, right? And not surprising, the ghost is actually a Sith, right? And it's pretty interesting how the Sith looks like. It looks very ghastly. I really, really dug that, right? To
Hmm.
the point that I was at points wondering if it was like an actual like person or a spirit of a Sith, right? But it's actually a person, right?
Yeah,
Kind
Um,
of
because
played
I,
to
I, I
the
thought
old
I thought it was an
Banshee.
evil force ghost, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know
yeah,
evil
yeah.
force ghosts. I know in evil force ghosts stuck in the place they dead, whilst good force ghosts could go anywhere. But
Good.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it kind of gave that Banshee, that old Banshee
Right.
screeching
That's right. Yeah,
vibe to it. So
Banshee.
I was like,
That's it.
oh, okay, cool, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. Even right down to the point of you're hearing her scream, right? And yeah, it's actually a female Sith, right? The way how it ends was pretty endearing. That's all. Say it didn't really like
Well,
break my
I
heart or
thought
make me cry, but it's
I
really
thought
endearing.
I thought that person was evil though. Like it
No,
was
she
come
is. She's a
across.
Sith mother. She's a Sith mother. And it's
Okay.
Angelica Houston, which I need
Right.
more of
Yeah,
Angelica
yeah.
Houston.
I'm now seeing this her. Like, holy shit, right? Yeah.
I
Um,
posted that up on Twitter last night. I was like, I need to see more Angelica in live action Star Wars in main canon. Please make that happen.
Yeah.
agreed. But I'll close to this, right? The art style is pretty decent for what it is. I wasn't wowed by it, right? But in terms of its own style and whatnot, yes, it
It
totally
reminded me
worked for
of
me, right?
it reminded me of what's the name of that movie? The Wolf Girl. What's the name of that movie?
Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
I know you're talking about not Wolf. Gosh, what was the name of it? But I can't remember. Wolf something. I can't remember what it is, but I know
Right.
you're talking about, right? But I will say this episode kind of set up a kind of a recurring theme in terms of kids being recruited to join either the good or dark side of the force. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, there's something really extraordinary
There's
about you.
yeah.
Come with us. Leave
Yeah, there's a lot of
leave your
there's
home and follow us.
yeah, there's a lot of child kidnapping
If you,
going on with
if
Yeah,
you,
boy.
if you really if you really sit down and think about how both the Sith and the Jedi operate, it's like, you know what? From the time you're 2 years old or thereabouts,
Yeah.
you get pelted inside a Jedi Academy, or, as we've seen in half of these, you get taken away. It's like, this is what's going on. It kind
Right.
of leaves you, middle of the road with the franchise, but it
Yeah.
is heights. It is
Yeah.
heights.
And
And
lastly, I would
another
say
thing.
I really dug the music as well too. I thought that the music
Yeah.
was particularly
Mm.
haunting. But yeah,
Hmm.
I enjoyed this. I didn't love it, but this was cool. This was cool. But yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on Screech
Yeah.
or
So
Screech?
you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of noticed that I think every protagonist in this thing was female, right?
I think so.
Mostly.
Most of
I
them,
think
yeah.
pretty
You
much
know, it's
all of
weird.
them.
I didn't actively notice it, but now that
Yeah,
I'm
it's only
thinking
until
about,
like around the last one or so, it's like, wait, every protagonist kind of female. I didn't notice. I think like they have a side protagonist for a couple of them, but the main
Mhm.
character is thing, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one I didn't was in my low list, not the
Hmm.
highest, kind of on the lower end, but still I liked it a lot. Uh, yeah, it's solid story. Again, the Banshee concept, and then when that was with the end, when she started using force, I was like, okay, not bad, not bad. But they make it work for it is. But yeah, this was kind of come and gone for me. Yeah,
The heights for me with this one was that I was actually thinking when she was praying to the communicator, or whatever, talking about, show me the courage and the light. I thought your strength and your courage. I thought she was either channeling a Jedi, trying to get to a Jedi or something. So when Sith Mother Angelica shows up and you realize, oh wait, hold on, she was really trying to communicate with her Sith masters. That is her whole heights unto itself for me. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's pretty cool.
you're right. Wolf Walkers. That's what I was trying to remember.
Wolfwalkers, that's it.
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
really love that film though. Actually, I should really
yeah.
recap that. Up next, we have In the Stars. This is from Punk Robot, which
Yes.
is from Chile.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed this one too, more because of how heartfelt it was. It was really, really emotional here. It centers on these
Mm-hmm.
two sisters, Koten and
Yeah,
Tichina.
Mm-hmm.
Koten being the old of the two. Um, I like how it just kind of establishes that, like we learned that their mom was a force wielder, and like other
Yeah.
force wielders in
She
the
got
village, they got wiped out by
mm-hmm.
by the empire or
The
whatnot.
Empire.
right.
And yeah, but I just love the adventure here where it's like, they're trying to get to, well, pretty much trying to bring down this factory that's stealing the water, basically. That
Yeah.
was really, really interesting. The art style I particularly dug as well. I thought it was really great. The voice acting was solid though. Even though the girl, uh, Tichina, like,
The younger
it's a
daughter.
child, right?
Tichina
Yeah, the
Devere.
younger
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
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 the way how some of the lines were delivered was kind of like, okay,
yeah, yeah.
No, but she got
alright.
that perfect little sister energy, even
Exactly.
with the way
Yeah, that
how
is the
it's,
little
yeah.
sister kind of vibe. Like she's so
Mm-hmm.
enthusiastic, but
And she
it's
real
like what?
brutish.
Yeah, she makes a lot of mistakes, right?
Yeah,
But the ending, however, though, that
that's great.
that one really hit
Yeah,
me though. Particularly with where you saw the slight spoiler, the handprints on this on the stone, and
yeah,
then
Mm-hmm.
this emphasis on
Mm-hmm.
stars though. When you see those stars though, I won't lie though, it hit me. Man tears were nearly shed, with the last few shots and whatnot, but I really, really felt the heart in this one. Again, the artwork is pretty solid as well. So, yeah,
I
Tracy, your thoughts on Indie Stars?
Well, two things. One, I remember because I was kind of doing a quasi live tweeting during this whole session. So it was like, I need more Koten and Ticino in main canon. I don't know if Filoni or whoever can, because it's set in that old world. So I'm like, give me them in main canon. I love this story. I love this story. I love the idea of the imperialism coming into your land
yeah,
and taking over your resources and
yeah,
wiping your people out. It is so relevant and it is so real and it is so Star Wars at the same point in time. So
yeah,
it's like that for me was, and I agree with you, it really does pull at the emotion of, it pulls at your emotions. And I was like, yes, yes, please give me more of this. I like that.
Yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on Indie Stars?
yeah, yeah. This is one of the better ones for me as well. It was up there. Just a really, really solid story. I like the. So I complained. I was complaining a little bit about it, where the younger sister was kind of dotish, but it's the younger sister's actions the reason why they would have succeeded, they would have failed.
Hmm.
Like
Mm,
if they just cater to the older sister and just that being too careful, her brashness and well effectively her faith in the mother and the faith in the force effectively is what get them through. I like that. It's a nice subversion of the conceit. But they make it work. The two of them they bounce off each other really well. And yeah, one of the better stories in my humble opinion.
Right. So up next we have a surprise for me, really because of the studio,
Yeah,
from
Adman.
Adman Animations. Like
Adman, yeah, yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah,
All
yeah, yeah.
right, okay.
Adman found something. And they had a bunch of like nice little Easter eggs if you know what to look.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes. This one is called "I Am Your Mother."
yeah,
I just
Which I
had a
thought was a
dumb
really cool
smile.
title.
Yeah, I just had a dumb smile on my face while I was
yeah.
watching this. Dude, this was just so lighthearted fun. And just really, in a nutshell, it's about this girl. Um, it's just basically her just wanting to go to this flight academy for pilots, right?
Right.
Her name is Annie, and her mom Kalina raises her whatnot, but she kind of don't like the mom could be annoying at times, right? And in the world of Adman, if you're familiar with Wallace and Gromit, yeah, you have your characters who just kind of annoying, but they mean well, right?
Right.
And yeah, essentially what we get is just this race between her and this rival, you know what I mean? And the rival and her
The very
mom
rich ones.
practically like laughing and talking shit about them, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, the mom, Annie's mom steps in and pretty much saves the day, pretty much,
What
right?
what I find hilarious is they have Wedge Antilles in it, and what his purpose is hilarious to me. Especially
Yeah,
him, especially him,
I love the
hacking his
promo.
products.
I love the
Yeah,
promo that he does.
yeah,
Yeah.
In the beginning, that was pretty funny, right? But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you're familiar
And
with
the
Adman,
Jawas pulling.
yeah, you know the art style, those big ass teeth,
Yeah,
you love
chicken
that,
run
right?
man. Yeah, chicken run
Yeah,
man.
yeah, Chicken Run, right?
Yeah,
What catch it for me though was their interpretation of a Wookiee though. Like when I saw that, I
right.
was like, that is hilarious though. But it works in terms of Adman, right? What catch me though was his sound design though, because like if there's a few blinkety missing moments, right? But I literally heard the sound for if you remember the Jetsons, right? When the ship moves, that.
Yeah,
Kind of
Yes.
sound design. I hear
Yeah.
that, I was like, holy shit, we incorporating Jetson sound design in this shit? What? Okay, right? But yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of Adman animated films, you will love this though. And yeah, I thought that the message was really strong as well too. You know what I mean? Yeah, in terms of just that bond between, parent and child, right? It totally works, right? And yeah, again,
Uh,
it just had I had a dumb smile on my face just watching this. It was just a lot of fun. But yeah, Tracy, take it away. Yeah.
No, I was just going to add the social construct of it for me as well as what worked. Like clearly she's not wealthy, but she's in a school that has people who may have a little bit more in terms of wealth and status, and you could
but
see the embarrassment. It's not just the
right,
embarrassment of the mother being over the top; it's the embarrassment of where they live and how things are. So
right.
she,
But
and
it,
so
the
to
context, the
resolve
context of that is
that,
good too. The
yeah,
context
yeah,
of it
yeah,
of
yeah.
who is wealthy and who they clearly working for.
What qualifies
Right.
as wealth? Because even like I'm not gonna lie, when the rival started making a certain noise, I was like, you know what, frack this one in particular. No,
You
let
know?
this ship.
She was on real shit though. She and the mom way, boy.
She,
Right.
there's a slight random spoiler, but I like the idea of the little laser beam that she has is basically a tiny.
Yes!
Yeah.
Crack me up
That's
too.
real crack me
I
up.
was like, this is too much. This is
Yeah,
brilliant. So
yeah.
yeah, I like the dynamic between them.
Yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on I Am Your Mother?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. This one, I didn't expect it to be as fun as it was. It started off a little weak for me. I thought, all right, they're going with this, okay, whatever. And then when they go into it and how what the implication of who the mother was in the past. Like, the mother's kind of a badass, right?
Yeah,
And so it's
yeah.
implied what going on there and who doing what and who working for who and why. And so that little fallout in the conceit of it is very, very funny. But they make it work. It's genuinely entertaining. They great animation. I mean, it's hard one. You can't go wrong with them. But yeah, I dug the hell out of this one too. This is up there for me.
Hmm. Right. So up next we have Journey to the Dark Head, right? So this is from Studio Mirror, which is from South Korea, right? I thought it was really interesting, right? Because the options I saw were, as far as audio was, Japanese and English, right? But I
Right.
saw in the credits a South Korean voice acting cast, so I'm
Right.
like, why can't I get
You
that
had.
option? But I don't
Mhm.
know. But anyway,
Because you had that, and then you had like the English voices were more the voices that we know, but then the South Korean voices was like,
yeah.
yeah.
I would have loved to hear the original voice acting for this, right? I saw in terms of voice acting, I saw Daniel D. Kim was in this. So I was like, all right,
And
yeah,
Ashley Park.
yeah, cool, yeah. This one is the most anime of of this volume so far, and I really dug it for that, right? The story is more on the, symbolic side of things. So you have Ara, I believe that's her name, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
believing that there are these two statues that are on her planet, right? So, one representing light and dark, right? And she believes that if you just pretty much destroy the dark, then, all the chaos of, the empire, and all that kind of stuff will pretty much be wiped away, right? And then
Which is
she
kind of
hires,
very Wonder Woman when you think about it. Like, oh, she thought she could just come and kill Ares and everybody would start to,
you
behave
know,
normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she calls on the Jedi for help, right? So this
Yep.
Padawan by the name of Tool shows up to help, and he has his own conflict as well too with him pretty much losing in a fight against a Sith Lord,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
who shows back up, of course. So
Bichin,
yeah,
Bichin, Bichin. Mm-hmm.
yeah, right, we Bai Chen, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
yeah, we
Well,
just pretty much get
it's
this at
implied
it.
that he was the former student of his fallen master.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Right. So I would say, yeah, visually this looks great, right? I
Yeah.
will say I really really love the visuals for this, right? When I say symbolism, right? So like so early on, there's this running theme involving like when rain falls on certain stones,
Right.
the
You see the
actual
prophecy.
yeah residue that you see, right? The figures on the stones itself supposed to hint at some sort of prophecy or some sort of sign or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very heavily based on that. It's based on, yes, I believe that if I do this, this is what happens. This is the prophecy, and there's all that kind of stuff, right? So it could feel kind of one dimensional at times, the motivation, right? But you can kind of
Yeah.
understand who these characters, given the characters and who they are, yeah, why they will go out of the way to do what they do, right? And yeah, for the most part, it works, right? So while I was not entirely blown away by it, I still enjoyed it. I should mention lastly that this is one of the longer episodes of this. This one actually clocks in at a full 18 minutes if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Not as much as I want to, but I really, really admired it for what it was, right? Ricardo, your thoughts on Journey to the Dark Head?
Yeah, I dug this one a lot. Not my favorite, but not close to the weakest either. Just pretty middle of the road quality wise. But I dug this one because mostly because of his arc, like this the idea of the dark side, what to do with it, and
Yeah.
they had a kind of working continuity stuff. Like clearly this could have a sequel, or they could build from this
Mm-hmm.
in some way, shape, or form. Like it clearly there's another story that does this even better, later down. But this was pretty good for it. The way it's set, to me you could get like a follow up of this. So again, really feel like a pilot episode of something.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
But I dug the hell out of this one. This one was cool. This is pretty cool.
Right. Tracy, your thoughts on Journey to the Dark Head?
I'm inclined to go with Ricardo on this one in terms of the idea of a pilot episode kind of vibe to it. I liked it. I thought it was cool. There were parts in it that I felt was like a little lagging. And then there were parts that was just moving a little too fast. Like I feel like there might have been like a little pacing scenes for me. But overall, though, yes, this really was the quintessential anime episode. I did like the voice because I listened to it in English. I like the voice of Bai Chen and how he handled
Yeah.
it. So Daniel Day Kim really pulling that out. I was like, oh, this is your classic anime villain kind of vibe. Yeah, no, it was pretty cool, and I still like for me, I also laughed my head off of the idea of let's just destroy one statue and everybody will be, all the evil in the world will be gone. Not realizing,
Yeah,
of course, that
it's kind of
everybody
weird, but
has,
you get the logic. Kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. But it was cool for me. It was cool.
Right. We have four more to go. So up next we have the Spy Dancer, right?
Yes,
This is from the Studio La Cachette,
Lachette,
right? Which is from
Lachette.
France, right? Yeah, and I was picking up on some French, inflections here and there
Yes.
with the voice actors. Like, all right, this is where we good, right? Um, I have a feeling this is one of your favorites, Tracy. I have a feeling so, right? But yeah,
Oh,
uh,
listen.
but yeah, essentially what we get here is sort of like I was actually surprised by this, right? A sort of a Moulin Rouge. For me, it kind of remind me of Moulin Rouge / Inglorious Bastards, where yes, it's this club where yeah, you go in and you're having fun and you're seeing dance and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time you have all these goons basically here, and you have people who run in the place and they pretty much
The
want to
wolves,
wipe
you need
out
the
all the
wolves.
goons, right? So that's what I was picking up on the Inglorious Bastards
Yeah,
vibe from it,
it's
right?
very
But yeah,
very French resistance kind of thing.
Yes,
yes,
that's the
yes,
word.
yes,
That's
correct.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So we have Loe, right, who is the main dancer, right? Or yeah, she's not the person who runs the club actually, but she is the main dancer, right? And yeah, she has a plan of like pretty much wiping out the alliance there, but there's one person in particular that she wants to kill, because of personal reasons. I actually thought that moment when the reveal was made, that was
Yeah.
pretty dark though, but it totally works, right? And yeah, she does her thing, but then when she notices, oh, this guy who pretty much messed up my life is there. All right, now I'm gonna trying to kill this dude, and all hell breaks loose pretty much from there. But I really dug how it ends on an emotional note because yeah, the real reason behind her fighting is revealed as well, and where it stops off I thought was great, right? So the art style is interesting. I was not blown away by the art style. It's
Right.
pretty interesting for what it is. I was in love with it, right? It has a more hand drawn feel to it, which is pretty interesting. I just felt like the mouth movements, I felt like they kind of cut back on that for reasons. I'm not sure why. I just felt like it was more about the character movements more than the mouth movements. I felt like they just kind of skimped on that for some reason, right?
Right.
But in terms of like the world itself, it was just the setup of it. Sorry, is pretty weird and interesting. I could buy into this fact that yeah, this is where stormtroopers will come in and lime. You know what I mean? This is the afterwork liming spot, right? I like that. That's pretty cool, right? But how it kind of leads into something really dramatic. I thought that was really interesting, right? Because it was just we're just here to have fun and get some sort of like Star Wars version of Lady Marmalade or some shit like that, right? Like that. But where it ends, though, I thought that was really really great. Though it was really really emotional. I must say, right? It's just the art style was just kind of not my cup of tea, per se, right? But I dug it in terms of just this unique, very French resistance, as you see Ricardo, take on Star Wars lore. I thought that was pretty interesting, right? Yeah, but Ricardo, your thoughts on the Spy Dancer?
Yeah, this is my personal favorite one. I really,
All
really
right.
enjoyed this. The story had me really
Nicely done.
engrossed. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
seriously, was
No, I
that you
said
said?
nicely done, nicely done.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
I
Okay.
dug the hell out of this one. Again,
Nice.
because of its working continuity, this also had a kind of piloty feel to things. But it's such a great and engrossing story between mother and son that this is a working implication. I think that's pretty much
Hmm.
verified by the end. And what they do with it, I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did, especially when the reveal, like, oh shit, that's what's going on. All right, that's real interesting though. Great storytelling. I love the animation for what it was. Yeah, you say the art have some issues. It felt a little fluidy in terms of like skipping frames at times, kind of thing. That's how it. But
Yeah, it does.
I get why they did it like that because to make it flow and especially because everything involving a lot of cloth. Like you have a
Mm-hmm.
whole sequence
Yeah.
involving cloth. Like I get why those decisions were made and how it was. I know animators, so I just assume they know what they do it, right? Yeah. I dug the hell out of this. The character was really engrossing and interesting. And what they do with it, and that's why it's sold. It's a really really strong character and emotional beat, especially that final shot with him taking off the hat and what going on
Yeah,
there. It's
and
like,
what
all
it
right, good.
reveals. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I dug it for what it was. Really, really, really interesting. And yeah, to be honest, like I kind of want to see this story play out, and where it going. Just leave it there. This one had me engrossed a lot. So yeah, this is probably my personal favorite out of the bunch.
Okay. 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 Well, I imagine this is your favorite as well, too, Tracy.
This is up there. This is very much up there. It it pulls you in emotionally. I feel like from the get go, I loved the idea. There's a sport or a exercise or something like that that involves a whole bunch of cloth and strings and stuff like that. It's not pole dancing, but it's some kind of random thing like that. So for me, seeing that, I was like, I remember that I do have a few friends who are into that kind of thing.
Yeah, very Cirque du Soleil.
But yes, that's the word. But
Okay,
yes,
okay,
that kind
right,
of
yeah.
vibe.
Well, yeah, that's
But
not sport. That's like a circus.
well,
Go
the
ahead. Yeah,
Cirque du
sorry, but
Soleil is like a thing, but I know there's like this whole. Anyhow, that's another conversation. There's a movement
right,
with a
right, right,
thing and
right.
a thing.
Yeah,
Um, but I really dug it. I love the revelation that comes in at the end. I love her motivations. I love the straying of the plans and where
yeah,
it leads and what it means to her and what it means to them on the whole. There is this thing in terms of there's a book and an audiobook called Star Wars from a Certain Point of View, where they talk about like stuff that the the stormtroopers do when they're not stormtrooping. So the idea of them getting Jawa juice and doing all kind of random stuff, that plays out quite nicely, like coming into the club and all that kind of stuff, and then you realize that there's other things that could be happening. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was emotional. I thought it
Yeah.
packed a punch. It was really good.
Right. Up next we have the Bandits of Golak, right? And I'm gonna let you know, this is one of my favorites, even though it have a couple of issues here or there, right? But this is actually one of my top favorites here, right? Mainly because, yeah, the studio, right? 88 Pictures, India, right? And this is primarily an Indian production, true and true, right? Even right down to the characters, the world, the conceit, all that kind of stuff. It very much feels, authentic in a sense, right? It centers on this brother and sister, well, the sister actually is younger and a force wheeler as well. And while on a trip via train, they kind of run afoul of some bandits. Somehow they escape there basically, and they end up in this village. But yeah, there's this lord who shows up as well too, and yeah, a force user who shows up to save the day, right?
He's
Um,
not a Sith Lord. He's a what do you call it?
oh, sorry,
Inquisitor.
Inquisitor,
Inquisitor.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He's a
Right.
brother.
So yeah, so for me, I absolutely dug the art style for this, right? I also love the world that it's set up in.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of a little film, a little masterpiece called Sholay. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sort of a curry western as they call it. So it just has that kind of vibe to it, right? And yeah, we doing the solar train stuff. So if you remember that particular episode of Book of Boba Fett, or if you're one of the few that you remember, like probably one of the best things about Solo, yeah, you have that sort of train robbery-esque kind of vibe to it, right? And I thought that really worked, right? The villain, caught me by surprise. I will say, I did have an issue with the facial feature of it. You know what I mean? Very very akin to oh gosh, how to say it? It's very Indian
very Ramayan.
mythological, yeah,
It's
mythological
very
villain kind of
Ramayan,
vibe.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that, right? And I'm not sure how people will look at that. You know what I mean? But it's almost like, all right, he is the villain, so I get the fact that you want to make it authentic to Indian culture, right? But I think it's just a little too on the nose, right? Him looking the way he does. That's all I'll say, right? But I really dug the voice acting. The music worked for me. It's just the authenticity to Indian culture that I really appreciate, right? And it's something that I've never seen before, actually, in Star Wars, right? I mean, ever so often, yes, they will allude to different, religions and, ethnicities and whatnot. But in this case, just it being purely Indian, that totally worked for me, right? Even right down to the vocalizing that you hear at a certain point in the second half. I thought that was really great as well, right? Again, it falls into, oh, you're young and you're a force user. All right, let's recruit you, right? Which is kind of insidious when you think about it, right? But given the story and whatnot, it works for the most part, right? But yeah, I had a blast with this one. I really enjoyed this one though. Save for a couple of narrative issues here or there, but I really enjoyed this one. Ricardo, your thoughts on this episode here, Bandits of
Yeah,
Golak?
I dug this one a lot. A little unpredictable end, where the story beat was going, but it's still pretty damn good for what it was. Just again, I was feeling how with the Indian things, like it's so blatantly the conceit of it. I was like, oh, is this going to be kind of offensive to some people? I ain't sure. But I thought it was fine for the most part. The group of people I thought was interesting was those riders. Those were the more interesting characters. I wish we got more of them. But as it is, it was pretty good for terms of telling the story they need to tell. And yeah, the relationship between is what, brother and sister, right? Yeah,
Yeah, brother and
yeah.
sister, yeah.
You're right. I thought that was pretty good, especially that whole the bandits and that whole scene they keep going back and forth on, and then having to say their goodbyes. I was like, yeah, it was pretty charming and touching for what it was. Yeah,
Again,
this
another
actually,
child that gets kidnapped, or well, not kidnapped, but whisked away.
right.
We want you, is that again?
Yeah, but
Child labor, yes.
it really works. It really worked for what it was in terms of the character beats and conceit of it. I don't have any issues with it. And this one is one of the higher on my list as well. Yeah, I think this one.
Right. So yeah, Tracy, your thoughts on the Bandits of Golak?
I liked it. Ronnie was a little too annoying for me. Like, good God, listen to your
Yeah,
listen
she's
to
the
your
annoying
baby.
little brat. I
you
know, but there's a charm to it.
Another
It-
little sister not listening. Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
the only thing about it is like, in terms of like Cotin and Ticino, like the little sister had a understanding, right?
Right.
But for me, Rani, like, slight spoiler, Rani wants to get thing to eat and wants the flute,
The fruit,
and
yeah, yeah.
the flute plays an important part in that whole scene. However, though, I need to see more of Nani Rugal. Sorry, I need to see more Rugal. I
Yeah.
like the idea of her with her little cane, and just pulling it out into like a double bladed lightsaber. That part of it worked for me. In terms of the Inquisitor, like I keep saying, for me, my thing was he's one part demon god, demon king from the Ramayana,
Yeah.
who kidnapped Sita, but also he has that 70s twirly beard Indian villain character
Yeah.
who always come in to frustrate the hero. So for me, that was fine. My hope is that because it is an Indian-based studio, and the voices are authentically Indian and that sort of vibe, that it shouldn't inherently cause too much stress for anybody else. Like, I mean, like the people who live the culture, should see it and be like, this is us, but it's not offensive. But for me personally, I went through it and I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. Not nearly as strong as some of the others, but still a hit for me.
Right. So last two, we have The Pit,
Yes,
which is from both Lucasfilm
boy.
Limited and that Chicago. If I got the name wrong, sorry,
Yeah.
Ricardo. Yeah,
Chicago,
sorry,
yeah.
right? Yeah. This was the one where my boy David Diggs shows up, right? And
Right.
essentially we just have these prisoners, and they've just pretty much forced by these stormtroopers to dig for Kyber, right?
Yeah,
And well, once they realize that there is Kyber in this pit, yeah, they keep going at it, right? So we have this one guy who just wants to be free, so he actually gets out of it, right? Crux, that's his name, right? Voiced by David Diggs, right?
yeah,
And actually is trying to get help, but I wouldn't spoil what happens here, right? Essentially, we just kind of see his daughter Livy, right? Yeah, pretty much kind of is given the task pretty much to kind of rally the others to for help basically, right? Just to get out of this pit,
yeah,
and that's pretty much what it is, right? So while I was not over the moon with the story itself, I do like the heart of it. I really, really dug the
Yeah.
heart of it, right? Just this idea of freedom and wanting to be free, and just the effort that you would put to try to free yourself from this, right? Instead of just wallowing in misery and pity and whatnot, right? And I expect to hear David Diggs in this, right? But the moment I heard his voice, like, wait, no, is that David Diggs? So I was like, yeah, yeah. And even, I must say, even his emotional beats, voice acting wise, totally worked as well, right? The art style for what it is pretty solid as well. It kind of, it's anime-esque, but it doesn't feel pure anime, and I really
Right.
appreciate that. It was kind of like in the middle of,
it's a Boondocks kind of vibe.
Right.
yeah, in
That's
that
the
way,
intention.
it
Yeah.
feels kind of Western Eastern, kind of a mix of the
Hmm.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, while I was not blown away by the story, though, I did like how it ended. I thought the ending was particularly strong. There's actually a post-credit scene. Actually, this is the one episode to have a post-credit scene. I thought that post-credit scene absolutely worked, right? So again, while I wasn't blown away by the story itself, the payoff, I would say, is absolutely worth it, right? I really appreciate the film for that, but not one of my favorites, to be honest, right? But yeah, Ricardo, The Pit, what do you thought about that?
Yeah, I was pretty excited for this, mostly because I was a big fan of the what do you call it, the studio itself. Now going into this, I was rooting for this one, but
Hmm.
I do think it's one of the weaker episodes in the list, mostly because the
Hmm.
conceit and what they're trying to tell, it's a little too on the nose. Like I know that is the intention, I know what it's going for, especially in the context of the
Yeah.
Empire and what the Empire doing, and blah 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 blah. But I really felt we could have gotten uh something. I'm not sure, more nuance or deeper. I'm not really sure what to say about it, but it does work for what it is. And it's actually pretty good. Again, given if you care about the actual conceit of it, it does really really work. And I don't have any big problems with it as it is. Yeah, but in my humble opinion, one of the weaker episodes, but still good. Like what they're going for. But yeah, as you say, the heart in the right place.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Tracy, your thoughts on The Pit?
I'm actually on the other side in terms
Right,
of like I when I saw it, I was like, oh, they're going there. Oh wow.
right, right.
Um, And so I was glad for the kind of shock to the system almost because the storylines that you see play inside there, the idea, without spoiling anything, there's a part where Crux comes and says, we built this city.
Yeah.
And,
Hmm.
there is all these very relevant, very real, very today, kind of storylines in there that is like, oh, y'all are deciding to go there and you're going in there hard. It's literally like, you know what, we're not going to give you a metaphor. This is the flag, and we want you to understand what's going on.
Right.
So for that, I was very appreciative. I was very much in awe of them actually taking that step and doing it. Of course, reality does not always meet, fiction. So like how it plays out in the end with the city doing what the city does, I'd be like,
Right.
if only that would happen in real life, then
That's
maybe
that
things
was
would
that
play
was my
out.
thing. That was my attitude about it. I've really felt all right. They could have
Yeah.
done something more interesting with this as it
You
is.
know.
But no, I get it. Like I get what they're going
Hmm.
for, and it's not like I see it or I miss it. I get what they was going for, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I get it. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. True.
No, 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 that's fine. Like for me, it worked because of
It's so
where
straightforward.
because
Yeah.
if it was straightforward, and because I think if your mind is open, like how we know where it was going for,
Right.
we got it immediately, and I was like, okay, yes.
Right.
There's still gonna be people
I
who'll be
mean,
like, I
the
don't understand.
character, the character was
Yeah,
literally on a soapbox, so he was
I mean,
I
dude,
at
know,
one
right?
point. At one point, yeah.
so
So it's like, all right, I know where they're going. Yeah,
so for me that worked out splendidly. I like
yeah.
it. I dig it.
Nice one. Yeah, no problem.
And last but not least, and I kind of hate to say this, but just like the last season, this one kind of ends a little underwhelming for me
Yes, I agree.
with Owl's Song, which is from the studio Triggerfish, which is from South Africa, right? So
Yes.
here's the thing, right? The art style is one that I admire, right? I really would love to see like a little behind the scenes of how it's done. It's not claymation per se, but it has a sort of claymation kind of look to it, right? It's
Yeah.
just the story of it was just a little too fantastical, even by Star Wars logic, right? Where essentially you have this alien child and her father pretty much his day job is digging for kyber crystals. But there's a thing that, because of the darkness of the Sith and whatnot, majority of the kyber crystals are, red. So
They bleed red. Hmm.
yeah, it's a struggle to find blue, right? So apparently this girl who has the power of song apparently could make these
Yeah.
make these crystals these red crystals blue just by
So
singing.
I
It's
couldn't
like
follow. I couldn't
what?
follow. Yeah, I couldn't follow. When this was like most of these you have a working sense of when it is in the timeline, right?
Yeah.
In
Hmm.
this one, I couldn't follow when in the timeline it is exactly. Because I was like, wait, if she could do this, is like that is like a complete revolution to the Star Wars universe, right? Like seriously.
I know,
I
and
mean,
even to the
yeah,
point that this Jedi shows up,
right.
this Jedi woman shows up, is like,
Kratu.
yo, look at your power, yo, like
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
recruiting, we
Hmm.
want you, right? But
Right.
it's just something about the skill set of that is really weird to me. What it really feels like to me, just jumping into a quick review, it feels like inspired by Star Wars, and I know that's what we see, that's the first credit that we see in the end, inspired by Star Wars, created by George Lucas. But this one really feels inspired by Dre, where it's not really so much about the world of it. It's just like, oh, what if a character could
Right,
do
right, right,
this,
right.
right? I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
just make it all cute and wonderful and shit, right? And I don't know, maybe it's just a cynical or whatnot, but it's just I don't know. I just really wanted to like this one way more, but I mean, it's cute. Like the visuals is the best way I can describe. Is really cute and like very very family friendly, right? It's pleasing to
Yeah.
the eye and whatnot, right? Um,
Yeah.
even though I'm not the biggest fan of that particular art style that they use, it's cute, right? But again, it's just that whole singing and you turn the tribal crystals blue is a huge stretch, right? Even in Star Wars lore, right? So yeah, similar to the last volume, unfortunately, this one kind of ends on a whimper for me, man. But I do see people appreciate it because of how cute and uplifting, I guess it is.
Right.
I don't know. That's just the best way I could describe it, right? But yeah, Tracy, your thoughts on Owl's song,
Owl's song. Here's the thing.
Owl's
It's
song.
it's the style is lush. It's
Yep.
lush, it's vibrant, it's alive. The style is alive. So that is in the plus column. Well, I don't really have much of a minus column, to be honest. The idea of the relationship between father and daughter, because it's like, how do you, deal with your independence, but at the same point in time, the overprotectiveness of a parent and how that is dealt with. Because we don't really talk much about, Au's mom and where she comes from and all that kind of stuff. It's just the idea of stay in your lane. I'm your father. I'm protecting you from the outside world and from your own gifts and your own what you can do. In terms of the idea of using her voice to be able to cleanse the Khyber, it kind of for better or worse, like when Ray healed Ben by just touching him, and it was one of those things. If you didn't watch, like, because I feel like I've seen Ezra Bridger do it, but
Right.
it's one of those things that, in terms of main canon, when people saw that, or when people saw Leia, coming after being blown out of the ship, but using the Force to go inside, it was like, this is weird. Okay, there's no backstory, there's no real backstory for it. So likewise, for me, the idea of a new character coming in who has like this vocal energy to change Kybers, that could be really interesting if they wanted to bring that into main canon. I really hope they do that. Maybe it could be set where we know that Rey, I mean, I know this is all inspired by, but we know Rey is going to be reestablishing the Jedi Order. How great would it be to see that, there's a whole bunch of characters out there who can manipulate the Force in
Right.
different ways,
Right.
that would be brilliant. So for that, in terms of how it ties to Au's song, I really love that. I really dug the idea of let's see something somewhat new for it. Again, with Kratu or Kratu, the Jedi lady who just comes and be like, "Oh, okay, this is great. You're coming with me now." That thorough line throughout this entire season of child labor is really, and I'm being an ass about it, but in all honesty, that thorough line of leave your home and come with me to other things is really like, it starts off in one and it ends in 8 or 9, episode 9. It starts
Nine,
off,
nine,
it
yeah.
starts in one and ends in 9. So, it really drives home. I liked it. It's not my all-time favorite. That probably will still go towards Coton and Ticino, in all honesty. And then followed by a couple others. But yeah, it was still fun. It was still good, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, following them, Triggerfish. I'm following them on Instagram to see what else they're doing and that kind of vibe.
All right, all right. And in closing, I should do like you, man, and really follow these studios, man, because I think that everybody came through and did their damn thing, though. Even though, of course,
Yeah.
it's an anthology, so not every single episode you will enjoy anyway, right? But I thought in terms of just the display of animation throughout the season, yeah, these studios crushed it, man, and I really am excited to see what they do next, man. It kind of gives me a little hope that maybe one day, somebody in the Caribbean, in a particular country, could reach to
Yeah.
that level and actually, have a full studio, with animators, dedicated animators, and yeah, put out quality work, what I mean? And yeah, who knows, Lucasfilm could come and knock on our door, oops, yeah, knock on our door and, do that, right? But yeah, as far as a showcase of just animation talent from across the world, or across the world, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
season two totally delivers on that though. I love the diversity in it, from the animation to the selection of studios to even the
Hmm.
voice acting as well. I really appreciate the fact that we're not hearing we're not hearing, Hollywood A-listers, voice these things. You're actually hearing actors from, specific countries come through and do their thing, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
Spain
Actual
or
voice
France or
actors.
India. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
great, right? Um, and as I said before, yes, this is a considerable step up in terms of the first season. I didn't bring this up before, but I'll close this, right? I like that with the first season, especially the way how it was advertised, we would take it, oh, it's going to lean a lot more into anime, right? And yeah, admittedly, the
Mm-hmm.
first season did lean a lot more into anime and Japanese influences, right? But like in this case here, where it leaned towards different ethnicities, different countries, right? Different beliefs, different religions, all that kind of stuff, right? And it works
Mm-hmm.
here, right? So, for me, rating wise, I'm going to give this like a decent 4 out of 5, man. I think that this is absolutely worth checking out. This is clearly for the fans, though, but I would say that if you are an animation fan, you will really, really appreciate that. And just knowing that, yeah, Lucasfilm, so brave to say, yeah, I want you, you know what I mean, recruiting, think about it, haha. Yeah, I want this animation studio to make something, right? And again, everybody came through and did their damn thing, man. So, props to everyone who worked on this film, whether it's voice acting or animation. Yeah, y'all killed it with this season, man. And I don't know if we're gonna get a third season, but I
We are.
just
It's in development. I
all
saw
right.
I saw that online on Twitter yesterday or day before, somewhere on there. I saw that one. I was to tell you that.
All right, well that's excellent, man. But yeah, given the talent that we saw with this season here, yeah, I really can't wait to see what other studios come through with quality work in the third season. Who knows? Maybe some of these studios here might show back up and do some other stuff. I would love to see
Mm-hmm.
another Aardman production. I would love to see another Studio Mer production. I would love to see another Studio La Cachette,
Yeah.
production as well too. Really, yeah. So really enjoy the season here. Ricardo, your final thoughts and rating on this full season.
Yeah. This last episode was the weakest in my humble opinion. I agree with that. It's just such a weird conceit, and again, I could see it being included. And look, I know super Star Wars fan or gatekeeper or anything like that, so whatever, fine. But yeah, I overall I enjoyed this season a little more than I did the first one, a little more. But it didn't have the heights that the first one had. That's all I'll say. Just on average, this one seems to be a little better for me personally. But yeah, overall rating, sure, but like about 7 out of 10 around that. Yeah, that is how I feel about it. Yeah.
All right, then Tracy, your last final thoughts and rating.
All right, I'll say this one animation, and this is just for the wider audience. Animation is cinema. Animation is not just for tiny people; it is cinema. And I put that out there because big studios keep saying these things, and this Star Wars Vision Season 2 proved that animation, like Star Wars, is for everybody. So I was very thrilled with the different styles, the different studios. Well done to all of them. Brilliant. Well done to the writers and the directors and the voice cast who put these stories together. Joy. It was relevant. It was real. And on a more personal note, I wish. I love the Skywalkers. I love them to the ends of the earth, but I wish that we get, moving forward, more stories that sort of incorporate and pull these different types of stories from the galaxy. Like, I don't need to know about the granddaughter of Luke Skywalker. I mean, he doesn't have one in canon. But I mean, I don't need to know about the Skywalker family or the Palpatine family or anything like that. Show me how Chani and Rani, meet each other again as grown-ups. Incorporate some of these into main canon, and let's see how it plays out in Dave Filoni film, or in Ray's movies, or
That
anything
that
of
would
the
be
sort.
great though. Yeah.
That would be brilliant for me. These are the stories that you need to go behind. I don't necessarily need to see another Empire, before they blew up the Death Star kind of story. But if you were to bring in different sides of it, in terms of how vast the galaxy is, and these stories show how vast the galaxy is, then I would be a little bit more on board. 9 out of 10 for me, to be honest.
Nice.
All right.
I had fun. I had fun with every episode. Some episodes obviously hit more than others, but at the end of the day, it was such a breath of fresh air to be able to see it, and I like the idea because it is outside of canon, because it is inspired by Star Wars. You're not necessarily beholden to, well, this needs to have this sound, and the Wilhelm scream needs to have, you're not beholden to that pack of nonsense. You are able to say, this is the story and this is what we're going to do. So well done to them. 9 out of 10.
All right. Nice.